Hello there. We are a little bit a little bit late going live today. These are some of the joys of doing live podcasting, technical complications and these kinds of things. But welcome, welcome. I am Helen Harwood Snell, expert storyteller and certified communication coach. And we are going to quickly burn through this today because we've only got so much time. So I'm going to jump right in and introduce you to Jill Lublin. I've known Jill for the better part of a year, I think. And she is a 25-year plus media magnet. She's a world-renowned publicity expert, international speaker, and 4 times best-selling author. She's worked with over 100,000 clients, implementing her signature formula for getting media attention, creating next level visibility in the marketplace that results in boosted sales. And these lead and profit generating formulas are included in her signature program, the Media Mastery Intensive. And she also runs a monthly kindness circle. Welcome, Jill.
Thank you, Helen. Glad to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. So let's start. I usually dig into all sorts of who you are. Tell me what your life is like when you're not working, but there's so much meat in this. I want to jump in right away with who needs PR?
Well, let me just say, everybody needs publicity. I mean, unless you've really got sort of that data, hour to hour kind of job, the truth is, if you run your own business, if you are part of a business, the reality is that everybody needs to know what you are, who you are, what you offer. And by doing publicity, it's a one-to-many strategy that quickly and effectively reaches so many more people and elevates your expertise way up. There's some heavy background noise.
Oh, I don't have any background noise here.
Okay, that's good.
So hopefully the audience isn't hearing that. So you touched on the word expert there. So I want you to tell us what makes an expert.
Oh, an expert is what it is that you offer. Like I'm an expert in publicity. I'm an expert in kindness. I'm an expert in networking. Why? Because my books are about this, and I also make my living through it. I also love you being an expert. Like I work with a woman who is a business coach who has a son who's autistic. We go out in publicity for National Autism Month, talking about her being a mom and raising a child and everything she has to deal with because of her circumstances. Sometimes you're an expert because of who you are out in the world or your personal circumstances.
Yes, for sure. That's one thing I love to tell people when I'm helping them work on their story is, we can get thrown off by these words like, what's your mission statement and what's your UVP, your unique value proposition. And often those things are just who you are, right? It is you show up in the world differently than anyone else. And so you also do your business differently than anyone else. And
Right.
that makes you an expert in your own life, right? So I love that. I think everyone can be an expert. And I've also kind of heard said that you can call yourself an expert as long as you're working, kind of 1 or 2 steps in front of who it is that you're guiding, right? That's all you really need to think about is what can you do to help people that aren't at the level that you're at? And then as you continue to rise, you can actually continue to bring those people along with you. So I love that, for the audience listening, we all need PR, no matter where we are in our business, and we all have expertise to offer. So those are 2 really powerful things to start with right away. Tell me a little bit about your experience in the business. I know you've spoken on stages with Tony Robbins and you've got hundreds of thousands of clients. Tell me a little bit about your journey in becoming the expert that you are.
Well, my journey, like many of us, kind of took twists and turns and all around. I actually started off in law school thinking that was going to be how I would make a difference. And well, then I got to law school. And, for a highly creative mind like mine, it was actually a very difficult place to be. And so I dropped out. And however, during that first year, I actually discovered my talent, which is about promotion and publicity. And I actually started working in the music business and worked in 4 record labels as director of promotion and publicity. So it was so wonderful to get my experience there because, frankly, the music business is all about perception. And what an
Yes.
easy thing that became for me to up level what I was offering. And then I opened up a PR agency and then closed that when I wrote Guerrilla Publicity and started helping people at much more affordable rates through my media mastery intensives. And then when I wrote The Profit of Kindness, I started kindness circles. So now those are all integrating together really well. And I'm having much more fun, in terms of what I can offer people and how I can support them.
That's awesome. So let's talk about that a little bit more. You said you ran a PR agency, and I think when a lot of people think of PR, they think of, you know, big sports stars or really, big time authors, um, celebrities, musicians, these kinds of things. So there is a different level, obviously, of public relations. But tell me a little bit about the ROI on publicity. Like, how can a person with a more limited budget still get a good return on that for what they're wanting to do?
Well, you got to understand that publicity is really what makes the phone ring and orders come in. And I see this I actually really consistently with all my clients, that their websites are more visited, that the orders are coming in, that the phone does start ringing. I mean, it really gets supported. And what is fabulous also is the escalation of your expertise, because you have something that can lead for you, right? If you send a podcast you've been featured in, which are fairly easy to get, or a blog that somebody wrote about you, or your local media or national or international media, you are already heads above and ladder rings above any of your competition, because you're already considered an expert and you go to the front of the line. I think that that's really important to understand. And then I've seen, like, I have a woman I helped in one of my media mastery intensives, and she had one little ornament bra strap actually that converted from, day to night, and was really kind of fun. $25. All right. She sold 600 of them. That's a huge day, because $600, 600 of them at $25, like, let's do the math. It's good, right? And
Yes.
and I have seen this very consistently, that people fill their practices and their coaching and sell their products and services based on publicity, sometimes really from nothing to creating something.
Right. And so, two things that you mentioned there, excuse me, in your explanation was podcasts and blogging. So, people might not think about that as publicity. So, talk about that a little bit more, if you could.
Well, I love particularly those two things. They're, number one, easy to guess. You can guest blog, but let's talk podcasts, because there are wonderful matching services where people meet each other. One is called Podmatch. Great resource that you can use to get podcasts like immediately. And that is a beautiful thing. You can also type in a search word, like something that you do, into Apple or Spotify, and let's see who's talking, who's got podcasts that are oriented toward what you know and talk about. And so I'm a big believer in podcasts. They're fast, they're focused. It's a conversation. It's fairly easy to get ready for, and that is so good. So I put that as the number one publicity strategy that's simple to do and effective.
Very good. And what if you are someone who's a little shy, maybe not ready to talk on a podcast, or a little bit kind of wary of publicity? Do you have some tips, some ideas for people like that?
Yeah, I've worked a lot with introverts. Part of what I've seen is, once you have a message, like a message that is congruent to you, that matches your energy, listen, I've had an accountant, and I remember he was like what you're talking about. He didn't like camera. He wasn't really articulate. I didn't have him doing on camera stuff. I had him doing audio interviews. I had him being interviewed more in print, and that was easier for him. So start wherever it's easy for you. There are podcasts that are audio only, for example, where you don't have to come on camera. Or
Yes.
I, Yeah, I remember a real estate woman I was working with. She also, by the way, was intelligent, successful, articulate, and she hated being on camera and she was shy and scared. What I noticed is when she got her message down, her confidence increased. And guess
Mm.
what? She started coming on camera. She started loving it. Did she always feel comfortable? But part of it is practice, like everything. And I have little secrets for how to practice. One is get in front of a mirror and start talking, to yourself, and maybe have a friend get you on camera and just see how do you, because we are far more judgmental of ourselves than how we come across. And I would tell you that most people I know, whatever they think of themselves, come across better than you think.
Yes, I would agree with that. I know one of the tips I was given way back when was record yourself on a Zoom call, right? You don't even have to pay for a Zoom subscription if you don't have one. You can record it and then you can play that back and you can look at your mannerisms and you can see if you're engaging with the camera and all of those kinds of things. It's a really fun way to practice exactly as you're saying. Um,
Yes, beautiful.
so yeah, you mentioned these tips that you give people. So tell us a little bit more about the media mastery program and what kind of things people could expect to get out of that as smaller entrepreneurs that's geared to. What kind of things are they going to get from you in terms of moving their PR level up a game?
Well, what I've been told is that it's a highly effective, very practical program, because I have people, roll your sleeves up to get your publicity done, and actually practice. Like you have to practice your message. And here's one of the super cool benefits is I actually have media there, people with podcasts, people with actual columns they're doing and different levels of media involvement. A woman who does a TV show, and I have them talking to you, but also and telling you, by the way, what's working in media, what's hot, what's not, but also listening to pitches. So imagine this, having an opportunity to actually walk away with interviews, having an opportunity to hear direct from the media what's working, and to watch a pitch, even if you don't want to pitch, it's okay, and to be able to ask them real questions. I mean, they're good people, they've been carefully vetted, meaning they're kind and they're nice and they're, good, serious media people. So people love that in terms of being in the Media Mastery Intensive, and it's been
That's
a
great.
great place.
And do you help them with defining that message so that they've got more comfort, like you were talking about earlier?
Absolutely. It's the first thing we do in the whole Media Mastery Intensive is get clear on a message and define it and make it really, really simple.
Very good. Very good. Well, in respect of your time, because I know you've got to go in just a few minutes, um, I would love for you to share a quick story with my audience about something in your personal life. It could be a childhood memory, could be something that happened to you last week. Share a quick story, and we're going to turn that into a business story to illustrate to people how easy it is to share stories and let people know who you are.
I love that. Thank you. Well, I was on my way to a speaking engagement in Canada, so it was international speaking engagement, and I fell and fractured both ankles at once in multiple places. Actually,
Ouch.
and yes, ouch was right. Ended up in a wheelchair for 5 months, close to 6, actually.
Oh.
Had to get a lot of help. I couldn't do most of the things you would think of would be normal, like get in the shower and cook and
Mm-hmm.
all those fun things that are normal. I couldn't get onto my bed. I had to actually sleep in the living room with a pull-out couch. Oh, it was charming. And it was tough. It was really tough.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to ask for help because I'd been a lone ranger. I'm sure many of you can relate as a small business person, doing it alone, superwoman out there, whatever, and discovered that I wasn't anymore. And then I actually had to ask for a lot of help and learn to receive help. And that was one of the best lessons that came out of it for me.
Mm. That is a great story. Well, it's not a great story. It's an impactful story. It is not a great story for you personally, obviously. I have to ask you, just for curiosity's sake, have you come back to Canada since you did that?
Yes, I have. Yes, I
You
have.
haven't held a grudge.
In fact, not only did I come back to Canada, I went to the exact same spot, which was a tiny little town off of Victoria. I had to take another ferry there from Vancouver, and we did I actually got picked up by the same woman who had dropped me off. She said, "We're going to do take two, and you're going to be fine." And I think both of us were slightly nervous, but we did it.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, I'm going to give you permission to sign off whenever you need to go. I'm going to wrap up the podcast with turning your story into a business story, and then I'll kind of give some details to the audience after that. So my thanks to you, Jill. If you do have to pop off before we're gone, because I know we're just a few minutes before the hour and we started a little bit late. But what I would love to share with the audience is how a story like that, the first thing that we think of is, what does that have to do with being a PR rep? And so I want to just kind of offer you this, Jill could take this to a speaking engagement that she's doing. She could use this as an example in her media mastery training. She could post a story on LinkedIn, wherever this may be, having a conversation with a customer and talking about, the challenges that we come up with in life. This is something that happened to me. I, was on top of the world going to this speaking engagement, international speaker, and then all of a sudden disaster hits. And this is exactly why you need to build your PR, because you never know what's going to happen in your business, and you never know when you're going to need to call out for help or take some time off. And when you build your PR, you can build the base for your business that can carry on when you're not in a situation that you can carry on. When you have courses and programs and things like that that can operate, you can get that PR out there, you can promote your book, you can do whatever it is. So when you are hit with those kinds of things that literally take you off your feet, as what happened to Jill, these are exactly the reasons that you need PR to build that business up. For those unexpected situations. So I hope that was fun for you, Jill. And I'm going to let you go, as I said, as quickly as you need to. Thank you so much for being here. How can people reach out to find you if they want to find out more?
Absolutely. So I've prepared a publicity action guide for you, which gives you lots of great publicity tips to use immediately. And it's a secondary gift because guess what? You get to come live with me and actually ask me questions and learn even more great publicity pieces that will help you in every aspect of your business. Get seen, get heard, and get paid. And so it's a double gift for you. You can find it at jilllublin.com/guide, GUIDE. And I look forward to helping you.
How simple is that? So as we let Jill depart, please look for her at jilllublin.com/guide if you want to get that that bonus. Have a look at her website and have a look at that media mastery program as well. Thank you so much for joining me, Jill, and thank you to the audience for tuning in. Stories do create these meaningful connections with your audience. There's science-backed data that shows that we develop these neural pathways that develop trust. But more than that, stories allow you to be authentic. And just like Jill was sharing, your authentic story is the most important part of your business before you do anything else. If you want to learn more about how story can help you change your sales success, reach out and talk with me. And I hope to see you next week live on Tuesday.